So you don't feel confident, you don't feel assured in yourself, you have lots of anxiety. The age old question, how do you get confidence? How do you get inner confidence, confidence from yourself? I was speaking to a friend pretty recently about, in this day and age, a lot of people now have a lot of low self confidence, and it seems to also be like fueled and exacerbated by social media, society, and just how society is functioning at the moment. So I don't know. For me, I think there's various ways to get confidence. I think everybody should have a good self-image, a good image of themselves mentally, like how they see themselves should be good. But what I've noticed is that sometimes that's not the case. A lot of times I feel like we're not having as much confidence as we need to, and we always make something worse in our minds when it doesn't have to be that bad. It doesn't have to be as bad. So, what was very interesting having conversations with different people is that someone I spoke to made a very good point that a lot of confidence issues that a lot of people have in their older age, adult life, it actually stems from not having enough confidence in your formative years. When your teenage years, when you're figuring out who you are, you're building your identity and experiences are happening. And if certain things don't happen, or a confidence building environment isn't the norm, isn't the case in your formative years, I think it has a big effect on your confidence when you're older. So I remember growing up where trial by fire, it wasn't like confidence in like you can do it. It was like you have to do this. Like if you don't do this, it's like, it's sink or swim time, where it was like you're being pushed from behind to go forward. And it's like a trial by fire where it's like, you know what? If you try something and it doesn't take, then whatever in it, it's not a big deal. It's not, the world's not going to end. And I always think and compare myself, when I was growing up, you'd always see people that come from like situations where maybe they weren't in a confidence inducing environment, where you would see situations where somebody's parents might always talk down to them, always say you can't do anything, you're stupid, you're this, you're that. And you would see how it would affect the child in the class. Like you could always tell the person that had the confidence in class growing up and the person that didn't. You could always tell the person that was a bit sure in themselves and the ones that didn't. And when sometimes you would see parents, you would see maybe their family, like how their family interacted with them, how their even friendship group interacted with them. Sometimes you could always see that, this person, they kind of didn't have even a shot at having self-confidence, because everything they've ever known during those formative years has always been, don't, try and achieve anything. You're not good enough. Why would you do that? And it's even the opposite of confidence, where you would always be spoken down to and talked down to. You may have been in a situation where maybe your upbringing, your family, it wasn't the best, where they're always talking down to you. Or you grew up in an area where, or an environment where people didn't speak life into you. There was no encouragement. There was no form of being seen. There was no, for lack of a better word, toughening up or putting you in challenging situations. And I think what we deal with now with adult life, when you don't have confidence, maybe you don't have confidence speaking to people or socializing, you don't have confidence maybe, going after that job you want to go after, or speaking to that, that girl you want to speak to, or speaking to that guy you want to speak to, or actually putting your foot out there, or putting actions towards things you want to achieve in life. I think a lot of it springs from then. It springs from the upbringing, the environment, because from day one, if you're not in an environment that is preparing you and allowing you to have confidence and have a good self-image, that does follow you all, throughout. If you think of it, your formative years, these are the years that form you, that form big parts of your personality. If those formative years sap your confidence, you're going to be in a position where when you're older, you now have to do a lot of work now to correct that, because you didn't have it before. So now you have to do so much work to correct it and actually understand that's where it is. I think one of the things with confidence is you have to identify that. Do you have a good self-image? How do you see yourself? Is it in a good light? Is it in a positive light? How do you speak to yourself? Like when no one's around, how do you see yourself? Think more of yourself. And having confidence doesn't mean that you're always going to be able to get everything first time. You're never going to feel anxious. You're never going to feel scared. What it means though is that if you want to achieve something, if you want to speak to people, if you want to socialize, you will take the jump, even though you do feel a bit scared or anxious inside, because that's what it is. Confident people, confidence in general, I don't think it's supposed to be this thing where every day is like, yes, I don't have a single doubt or anything. No, you do, but it's just like, even though this is doubt, is part of the game, I'm still gonna take the actions and step forward and do what I need to do. And I think it's very important to kind of realize how your formative years impact that. And then one of the other things as well that I was thinking in terms of increasing your confidence is actually challenging yourself and having exposure to certain things. So this also goes back to my point about your formative years, your upbringing, the situations you're in. In your formative years, like it's not a coincidence, it's not a mystery where you might see somebody that maybe, I don't know, let's say they like to dance and sing or they perform in theatre plays. And from a little child, they've been doing that every time. It might not be the greatest theatre play when they're 5, but as the years are going up, their parents or whatever is pushing them into more challenging situations. So confidence is always, I think, is always a reference point as well. Confidence comes from a reference point of situations that are not as bad as the current one in front of you. So for instance, if you've been doing plays every year for 3 or 4 years, maybe when you were young, you did plays, you performed in front of 50 people, then your people around you get pushed to perform in front of 100 people, 150 people, 200 people, 250 people. By the time you've challenged yourself, let's say by the time you're 25, you've performed in front of 1,000 people, 1,500 people. It's not going to be difficult now for you to go and speak to somebody, to socialize, because now it's like I've performed in front of over 1,000 people. I only have to just speak to this one person, or I only have to, impress these 5 people. I only have to present in front of these 5 people or 10 people or 15 people. It's not as bad as this one. So then it automatically, you're just like, yeah, it's not that bad, because your reference point, you've been challenged to a higher reference point. So now it's like, that doesn't mean anything to you. And I think when you want to increase your confidence, it's progress. It's a slow build, but you have to challenge yourself, because that is the only way that confidence comes. So you have to challenge yourself through exceedingly challenging tasks. So for instance, let's say you, as an adult now, you are socially awkward, you're socially anxious, you're not able to talk, you don't have confidence in yourself or whatever. You're not gonna have to start small. It might be like, okay, you might have to take a public speaking course. You might have to do, I don't know, like a Toastmasters course or something like that, where you go and learn, you go and learn to speak. You speak in front of people. It's a skill, to speak to people. It's a skill to have that kind of confidence to kind of speak in front of people. So it might be, okay, you start small. Today, I'm going to speak to this person I don't usually speak to. That might be your task for the day. So you start with that task, you do the task, take a jump, you might feel scared, you might be sweating, but for whatever it takes, you get it done, you do it. You do the task. Okay, you've done that. Okay, I felt scared, but okay, I done it. Now there's like a little register in your brain that goes, okay, I was scared, but I took the jump, I took the leap, I done it. I can do this. It was scary, but I done it. Then the next day or the next week, you might set yourself a different task. I might speak to 2 people I don't usually speak to or whatever. And it builds from there. And then what you will find is that each step, each thing you take will allow you to be more confident, will allow you to be, more at home in speaking to people or presenting yourself to others. Because at the end of the day, when the older I'm getting, the more I'm realizing in life is that how you put yourself across is key. How you communicate is key. In this life, how you present yourself always, is always a good skill to have, because if you can present yourself well, if you can put yourself across confidently, you always leave a good impression. And if you always put yourself on the best foot for things to go the way you want it to go. Even like with people and dating, where some people can't even, they're very scared to approach people, to talk to people. Age-old situation where you talk great on the app, you meet face to face now, and you can't talk. They just can't. They haven't got the confidence to talk. It's very one word, face down, that kind of thing. So it's like, you have to put yourself in positions and plot it out, because I think everyone can become more confident. Everyone can become confident. It's just knowing how to and taking those little steps and realizing that it doesn't have to be perfect. And mistakes happen. Sometimes you could approach someone, you could speak to someone, you could say the wrong thing, and it might not go the way you want. But those failures, those things that don't go the way you want, is where you grow. So I always think you have to challenge yourself. Like, when I think of when I was growing up, I remember there was crazy situations where so many of the people I was like around, we were put into so many like socially awkward situations where it's sink or swim now. There might be like a church play that you're doing, and you're like, you're on stage, you're like, yeah, I'm good, and you forget your lines. And you're like, this is live, you're in front of people. You have to think on your feet. There's things like that harden you. There's situations where you might go to someone's birthday party, and all your friends for some reason are gonna come an hour and a half late, and you're in a room and the celebrant's not even there, and you're just with people you don't know, and then now you have to like try and figure out, you just make a comment or something, like an icebreaker, like, oh my gosh, the celebrant's taken a while, and then someone might say something, and then you strike up a conversation there. These are things that happen, trial by fire, that make you more confident in speaking to people. But one of the biggest things as well is having an environment, having people that make you confident. So I remember where we had one of our friends growing up where he wasn't very good at like breaking the ice, speaking to people. He wasn't good. And we had situations where we would always be like, okay, you know what? We're going to go to certain events and stuff, and we're going to speak to people and all of this kind of stuff. And you're going to come with, we're going to put you in the situations where, we're going to break the ice, and then you're going to speak as well. We're going to make you speak. We're going to be like, oh, what do you think? And then everyone's kind of looking, and they have to kind of, speak and think on their feet. And of course, it's going to be awkward at first, but even after, when they're like, oh my gosh, after, you're like, you know what, you did well, you took the step. Is that encouragement? So it's like, it's challenge on one hand and encouragement on the other hand as well, with people around you. That's always a good way to foster confidence, in how you speak and stuff like that. And also as well, learning the methodology of how to speak, how to come across. There's a book for everything. So, there's books, there's courses, there's YouTubes on public speaking and how to speak confidently, how to come across confidently. What I would say as well, it's also realizing, kind of brainwashing yourself in a sense. So it's kind of like being deluded a bit, because all confidence does start from delusion. If you think of it properly, like, you're convincing yourself that you are confident. That's how confidence always starts. When you see like movie stars and celebrities and people in entertainment always talk about how did you make it, it's like, I had to have the belief, I had to brainwash myself that I was worthy and I could achieve it, because it starts with you. In this life, if you want to achieve something, it starts with you. You have to be the one to start it. So if your mindset is confident, then you're going to speak confident, and then people are also going to receive that. Because if you're a security guard at a door and somebody hasn't got the correct ID, and you're like, you're not coming in. You're gonna look at the security guard like, what? You might say, you might think, I can come in. But if it's like, you're not coming in, you're not coming in. There's an assertive way, there's a way you talk. So you have to look at it this way, like, you could have a situation where somebody could be like, excuse me, you're blocking it, can I move please? It's not, voice is low, you're looking down. But if somebody's like assertive or just talks with confidence, excuse me, thank you. Like, there's a way you talk that people understand and receive it. And this is why people have to realize it starts with you. You have to delude yourself. It doesn't have to reflect reality, but you have to fake it till you make it in your mind. So you have to kind of hype yourself up that, yes, I am confident. Yes, I am good enough. You have to really speak life into yourself. Like, you gotta be like, God is with me. Like, I'm going to do this. Like, I could do this. Like, Yeah, what's all this? This is nothing to me. Yeah, I can do this. I'm that guy. Like, you look at yourself in the mirror and hype yourself up. So I remember, like, one of my friends, whenever, like, we would go to any event or something where, you know, he might want to speak to people or whatever, get to know people, you know, or whatever, he would always, like, look himself, he would say, like, I gotta hype myself up. 10 minutes to, like, he'll look in the mirror and he'll just be like hyping. You can see he'll be hyping himself up, like, yeah, I'm that guy. Like, yeah, I'm confident, nothing, yeah, whatever. We're gonna go, we're gonna have a good time, we're gonna meet new people, all this good stuff. Like, hype himself up to get his mind to that state of confidence, to get his mind to that state where, yes, I can do this. And he would go out and do it. He would get himself to that point. It always starts with delusion. You don't have to be confident at first. You just have to believe you are. And then as time goes on, as you take steps, little tasks, so you have like a checklist of little tasks that you do, then the confidence comes, because it's like your reference point will continually change. So for instance, if you're not good at speaking, you do a presentation, maybe, let's say you do a work presentation, it doesn't go your way and there's feedback of things you can do better. There's feedback. It's not bad. No one's chucked tomatoes at you in the meeting. You know, nothing's wrong. You just got feedback. Oh, you can make this better. You just have to take yourself out of it and go, okay, I'll make the improvements, but guess what? It wasn't that bad. Next time you now go to do a presentation, you take those steps, that feedback, you make it better, and then the reaction will usually be better. So you'll be like, you know what? It wasn't as bad as last time. So you know what? It's not that bad. And I think that's what confidence is for the most part. It is deluding yourself and taking those little steps in how to feel better about yourself. So for instance, even with your self-image, you have to know yourself. You have to actually really look at yourself and say, why do I think I'm not good enough? Why do I look at myself and not think, well of myself? And you also have to apply a bit of logic. So the reality is things are never as bad as you think they're going to be. So let's say you have a bad self-image, you don't see yourself as somebody that is confident. You have to now just look at yourself and question, why do I think this is? And really go, you know what? There's people that were behind me, or people not as good as, not where I am, or not in the situations I am, that are flourishing. And you take confidence from that. Take how you view things as well. So having a growth mindset. A growth mindset is basically the mindset that even if you make mistakes and fail at things, you always have the ability to become better. So a mistake is how you see mistakes changes. So if you see mistakes, if you see negative things, for instance, let's use football as an example. If you never go in for a challenge and make mistakes with a challenge, you never get better. I think those are the little thoughts I had about confidence. But anyway, like, comment, share. If there's anything you want me to talk about in the comments, let me know down below, and I'll catch you in the next one.